What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Join Dota League Season 3. We're still in the Division 1 or 2 playoff stage to decide who goes down to Division 2 and who gets to stay in Division 1. This is going to be a best-of-3 series between Isurus Gaming and NoEarth Spirit. Currently, I think as it stands, the winner of this is guaranteed a spot in Division 1, and the loser of this goes down to the lower bracket, where they could potentially drop down to Division 2, but still could get into Division 1 if they win their games or whatever. Anyway, I think that's about what this game actually means as far as the grand scheme of the JDL Season 3. Here on HeflaTV 2, I'm going to be one of your casters, and I am joined by Grandis.
Yeah, regardless, it's still an important game for both teams, and it's going to be a good series, or at least I'd hope it is. Both teams definitely have a lot of potential. Isurus are known for picking heroes that are a little bit off the wall, and especially in a new patch. I'm interested to see what they're going to bring to the table.
Yeah, it should be pretty interesting. They might just want to play it a little bit safe because they don't know the patch so well. I think the patch is really going to be probably the largest factor here, in that some teams just take longer to to adjust themselves to the patch, and other teams are just fine to just play whatever and then they grab wins out of it. So either one of these teams are capable of beating each other. However, it really comes down to how well they've adapted to this new patch, and it seems like NoEarth Spirit are going to take out a big problem hero in general, with the Terrorblade already banned out first.
Yeah, Terrorblade, just so annoying to play up against. He received a slight buff and then got added to Captain's mode, pretty much untouched. They did nerf him very heavily in the previous patch, but honestly, he's still as strong as ever, just the ability to push and then win teamfights. Early on, of course, he is still very punishable with a lack of HP, but if you have other heroes to soak away the focus, Metamorphosis does a ridiculous amount of damage. If you have any other lockdown holding them in place, you can rip heroes apart. Legion Commander also banned out NoEarth Spirit, are having none of the new heroes added to Captain's mode in this game. And Faceless Void is going to be the first pick for Isurus Gaming. No big surprises there. Yeah, just a heads up for people in the chat. If there are any sound issues as far as levels between me and Mike, we're still trying to figure things out as Mike got a new mic.
Ah. No? That wasn't intentional?
Well,
Fine.
intentional or not,
Okay.
that's how it worked.
Alright, well, NoEarth Spirit unfortunately are going to ban out two heroes that I am still not tired of seeing just yet. I only cast one game of Legion and it failed utterly, so I want to see her succeed. They're going to go for Lycan as well as Vengeful Spirit, and well, Lycan is still a powerful hero at what he does, but what he does is just a lot harder to come by because of the shapeshift changes and everything like that. If you're going to go for pushing, he's still pretty much the hero to pick up.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and especially when you have a Vengeful Spirit also on your team, offering the extra damage from her aura, as well as the minus armor. It allows you to go for Roshan very easily, and also bolsters their pushing power by quite a bit. Despite not making any summons, the Lycan's going to be able to benefit with the Howl damage directly.
Alright, so with the Faceless Void first pick, it could just be a 0.81 thing, and going to go grab up a Skywrath Mage, and that would be pretty nice. And NoEarth Spirit actually picking Lycan into a Faceless Void, it's not uncommon that we see here, teams in 0.81 just completely avoiding the Lycan because the enemy does have a Faceless Void. The Chronosphere is the best tool that you could possibly want as far as dealing with the Lycan, and it's going to be tough for him to function. Although he does have Vengeful Spirit to swap him out potentially, it's still just such a great tool that Lycan, especially with the new changes to Shapeshift, isn't going to be able to easily play around. He's going to have to play very cautiously unless he wants to get time walked upon.
Yep, I am still fiddling around with the audio settings. It hopefully is better, but as it stands right now, I am a little bit louder. So if you can bump yours up, maybe that can help, or maybe we're double overcorrecting. We'll see in about 2 minutes. Either way, Isurus, they have the Skywrath Mage available to them, and I don't see a great reason why you shouldn't pick it up. Still a solid hero, even though he did get hit with the nerfs a little bit similar to Faceless Void, just something people are comfortable with. But instead, they go for the Lich. It's going to be pretty nice for defending the towers with the ice armor, giving the additional armor to towers, as well as just the attack speed still on the army of summons that NoEarth Spirit may or may not be building, and as well as just offering a way to fairly easily win a lane with the Devour mechanic, or Sacrifice, that's what it's called.
Yeah, and well, we actually are going to see some more weird bans coming up from NoEarth Spirit. I don't think you're ever going to see these three heroes banned out in the first three spots. It's going to be very uncommon at the very least. Giving a little respect towards Isurus, a lot of respect, in fact, with the Invoker ban as well. So Isurus are not going to have their quote-unquote trademark heroes, but that's going to be perfectly fine. They could probably get away with it and, be successful in doing so as well. So NoEarth Spirit, they got banned out from them, Viper as well as Razor. Just overall strong heroes, lane control heroes, heroes that can play aggressive early on, which is what NoEarth Spirit might want to be doing with this opening. Taking a Lycan super late, I don't know how good it is anymore with the changes to Shapeshift, but it seems like it's kind of viable, but not really desirable.
Yeah, fair enough. We're still waiting for the other supports, as most of the bans, in fact, all of them, in the second banning stage are focusing on those core heroes. So NoEarth Spirit have the pick of whatever they want to go along with that Vengeful Spirit. It's going to be a Visage. A very scary combo in and of itself with the minus armor from Vengeful Spirit as well as the lockdown. The Visage Familiars can put a lot of hurt on the enemy heroes. Getting level 6 and getting ahead with these two supports is going to be fairly important for NoEarth Spirit, but we might even be looking for a Drow Ranger from them, although it would be incredibly risky and I wouldn't like the pick. I don't know. Vengeful Spirit and Visage kind of scream the need for a Drow. Either way, just as a standalone supporting duo, they can do a lot aggressively, and then once they get their level 6s, very potent heroes. But if they fall behind, their game impact is going to be limited, if they're at all.
Yeah, the Drow Ranger would be my logical guess for this. It is going to be going into a Faceless Void and a Tidehunter, two heroes that Drow Ranger doesn't exactly have a great time with, especially that Void. They can shut this down by shutting down the Faceless Void if they make sure he doesn't get early farm. That even if the Faceless Void does jump into the face of the Drow, he won't be able to put out as much damage as he really would like. But with the Visage Vengeful opening already, 9 times out of 10 you're going to see a Drow following this. Lycan as a frontliner or as a distraction is going to be decent enough in order to secure Drow's safety. At least, try to pull some of the heroes' focus away from that Drow Ranger. And, well, I don't think I've ever actually seen Earth Spirit or NoEarth Spirit run that hero, but I mean, when you pick up a Visage like this, it's kind of a tell. He's not a hero that you often see being played just by himself, as you normally did a couple months, if not years ago.
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they're going to angle this draft from here on out. I'm going to go ahead and tweak the volume again, as we have caught up to that. So it's unfortunate that we have to go through this in the draft, but I suppose it's better getting it out of the way so we don't have to deal with it through the rest of the game. As a Nature's Prophet, it's going to need to pick Beastmaster, excuse me. Yeah, I was listening to the audio, wasn't looking at the screen. There you go, it's going to be a Beastmaster. Very peculiar. Yeah. They might be setting up for a Tinker.
Why don't I drop you a little bit, and then you'll just stop messing with your end. We'll do this, and hopefully it'll work. It has to work. Okay, so Beastmaster as the 4th pick. Definitely not what I expected. NoEarth Spirit, they are on the dire side, so they will have pretty easy access to those Ancients, although I think stacking the Ancients now is just a little bit more inconvenient for the Beastmaster. Still very possible, but yeah, Boots of Travel is suddenly becoming a lot more plausible, and I think this is going to be a pretty decent Tinker game. It will limit their late game DPS somewhat. Faceless Void, Tidehunter are great at catching up to that Tinker, and if Isurus smell this one coming, they can prepare for it with their final 2 picks. They still need a core, and Storm Spirit is the best hero you could possibly ask for. So, NoEarth Spirit, they are setting themselves up for it, but it will be not exactly the safest pick in the world, because we see it, so Isurus should see it as well. And they're just going full-on teamfight. Warlock, with Tidehunter, with Chain Frost, with Chronosphere, that's a lot of AoE.
It definitely is, and I'm not sure if I'm completely on board with this. It doesn't combo incredibly well with the Chronosphere from the Faceless Void. I assume that we see all 3 of our cores already coming out from Isurus with Tidehunter, Warlock, as well as Faceless Void. Although, they still could snag up the Storm Spirit if the opportunity arises where they want it, and then run the Tidehunter or Lich as a support either way. Potentially even dual lanes, Lich, Tidehunter, off lane, Warlock, Faceless Void. You definitely could do worse as far as the laning situation is concerned. If NoEarth Spirit do decide to go for the Tinker, the best way to play Tinker right now, or at least I feel, whoa, that's actually very peculiar. They banned out the Tinker themselves, now the Drow banned out by Isurus. That's actually very interesting. I would expect that NoEarth Spirit were looking to pick up the Tinker, and maybe that's a misclick, but it looked pretty resolute to me.
Yeah, I mean, both of the heroes that we thought NoEarth Spirit were going to go for are now out of the pool, so I have no idea what angle they're going to go for now. But yeah, with the Familiars and the Hawk, and just all the mobility you get with those summons, plus the Boots of Travels, it would have been a pretty sick combination from NoEarth Spirit, but maybe they want to be a little bit more aggressive early on. Maybe just play never-ending gank into towers, and with Beastmaster Roar they can do that. They can pick up a lot more of an early aggressive core as opposed to someone who wants to sit back and farm like the Tinker would. And maybe trying to get into Isurus' base before the team fights really come together for Isurus. And yeah, it is going to be that aggressive hero. Centaur slipped through the pool, and he's going to be the pickup. So NoEarth Spirit, they're looking to be super aggressive early on.
Yeah, looks like these lanes are going to work up for NoEarth Spirit with Beastmaster in the mid, aggressive Trilone, Vengeful Spirit, Visage, and Center Warner, and then Lycan solo safe versus a Tide. It's not going to be the best lane for the Lycan throw, but he can manage and won't be zoned out of experience at the very least, and should be able to get a little bit of farm. But that Tri-Lane coming out from NoEarth Spirit is definitely very potent. Magic Missile and a Hoof Stomp Double Edge Soul Assumption is going to 100 to 0 pretty much every hero on the side of Isurus. Bar lucky backtracks from the Faceless Void, but even then, only blocking one or two of those spells is not going to save you. Yeah, it's Isurus' turn to pick up their last hero. Honestly, I have no idea where they're going to go, and it's going to be a Timbersaw. Huh. Well, with a 3 melee strength core lineup coming out from NoEarth Spirit, the damage coming out from the Timber is going to be really good, although you are playing with the Faceless Void on your team. So the synergy there isn't that great. As the Chakrams are kind of nice to drop inside the Chronosphere, but really you want Timbersaw moving through the enemy heroes, and with the Chronosphere in the middle, you can't do that.
Yeah, it is something that teams tend to avoid, although I think just the power of Timbersaw versus the Beastmaster, Centaur, and Lycan is just too strong to pass up, and what I've seen from Timbersaws in this new patch is that there's going to be double Chakrams, so there's going to be lots of AoE damage flying around. It is a kind of teamfighty hero. It's more skirmishy than the rest of the Isurus gaming heroes, but it is going to be able to contribute a lot of damage, which I think Isurus probably would have been a little bit short on. They have all the stuns, they have all the lockdown, but after that burst of damage, if NoEarth Spirit are still alive, then Isurus game are very quickly going to run out of gas. But with this Timbersaw, they're going to have pretty much all the sustained damage in the fights that they could possibly want, as, well, we're now going to get ourselves into the game. I think something also crucial to note is the fact that Ban Earth have most of the initiative as far as initiation is concerned. They'll be able to get the, if they are able to get the Blink Daggers on the likes of the Centaur, then Isurus are going to be on the receiving end most of the time. Time Walk into Chronosphere is still really good, and maybe you get a Blink Ravage or a random Warlock Chaotic Offering, but odds are the initiation is going to be in hands of Ban Earth with the Roar as well as the Centaur Hoof Stomp, especially with the Bird scouting everything out.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. We are going to get into this game. It is paused on the Radiant side. We are going to have Isurus Gaming playing there with Timbersaw being handled by Dulce with I'll go Don Chen as a stand-in on the Faceless Void, Nidera on the Warlock, fullback on the Lich, and DDX on the Tidehunter, potentially going mid.
Alright, so well, let's see how these lanes actually shape up. DDX is typically going to go into that role, but yeah, it is actually going to be a support Warlock, and I don't actually love support Warlock. I feel like it's a nice way to get away with picking up a Chaotic Offering, but when you do run a support Warlock, that's what you're doing. You're picking the ultimate. That is, like, pretty much the point, and he will have some relevance as well with his other skills, but not as much so when you're running him in a core solo mid role, which is the role I like to see him in. Of course, it will mess up the lanes from Isurus quite a bit, but either way, we'll see how these lanes actually pan out, as DDX is in fact going to be handling a core role in the Tidehunter. Nidara is going to be supporting him as the Warlock. Mid lane, well, fullback's chilling there for now on the Lich, but we don't exactly know where he's going to land. Algodanshin will be on the Faceless Void, and yeah, Dulce on the Timbersaw. So, yeah, kind of interesting, but well, either way, on the Ban Earth side, we got Fan of Soyon on the Beastmaster, CSO on the Centaur, A Heart. Man, I never remember what this guy's name is. Glacius on the Visage, and Alexi on the Lycan.
Yeah, that's going to sum up these heroes and the lanes that they're going to. Dulce is going to take a little bit for us from Glacius. Going on the high ground and going down towards the Timbersaw. Looks like... Okay, I think that's all better now. I wasn't actually being heard on Dota TV. Let's see if I can fiddle around with those while we're still not into the game. Lots of audio issues, and sorry for that.
Yeah, well, hopefully it'll be fixed, and then we never will have to fix it again. Because that's the dream right there. And, well, it looks like Faceless Void is going to be going down towards the bottom lane. And it's going to be a Tidehunter Lich dual lane? Is that... Am I seeing this right? Is this actually real life? Is this happening?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think that the Tidehunter needs the help from the Lich in this lane at all versus the Beastmaster. I think he's more than capable of soloing this lane by himself. And I think fullback probably should just back off to another lane after denying one of the creeps. He's going to drop a ward and potentially just stick around. So it is going to be a dual lane mid. I have no idea what the exact reasoning behind this is. I think that the Faceless Void would much rather have the support in his lane. And still probably have a more difficult time up against the Centaur than the Tidehunter would up against the Beastmaster. The other lane, Timbersaw, up against this tri-lane coming out from Ban Earth Spirit with Avenge, Visage, as well as Lycanthrope. He needs to be very careful, although it's not as scary as the aggressive tri-lane we envisioned during the draft.
Yeah, I mean, guess this dual lane or semi-dual lane or whatever it is in the mid lane is going to for sure win GDX the lane, but I think he would have won the lane anyway. Tidehunter versus another melee hero is usually pretty much an auto win, even if you do have to deal with the occasional howl damage. The Anchor Smash is just so crippling, and there are very few mid heroes, if any, that could actually take an edge over Tidehunter, so fullback is kind of redundant in this lane. I guess he isn't really going to be doing much if he's on the bottom lane with the Warlock in the Faceless Void. Top lane, he actually might be of some use. Now, generally, there are lanes where it's going to be if you have a solo hero up there, they're just completely screwed, and adding one other hero isn't going to help. I don't think this is the situation up on top lane because Dulce, he's getting pushed back quite a bit. If they had a way to push those supports back at all, then they'll be in a little bit of a better position. And also they're going to be guaranteeing levels to the Timbersaw, which is exactly what he's looking for. So I would like to see fullback actually move up to the top lane and just make these lanes for Isurus full-on dual lanes.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's probably the most solid way that they could go about laning it. Lich finds himself a bounty rune and is going back towards the mid lane. Tidehunter is having the time of his life in this lane, 12-2 in the CS department, and he compared to the Beastmasters 5-0. Fan of Sonya can't really get much out of this, as the Warlock down in bottom going to eat a double edge coming out from CSO, but there's no more in the tank for him, and it will just force out the Shadow Word. So no a whole lot lost by Nidera. I'm not sure where the first blood is going to happen. I'm assuming Dulce is going to be the one to give it up, as he's only a level 1 Timbersaw, with no points in the Timber chain just yet. He needs to play so defensively.
At the same time, the offensive capabilities coming out of this tri-lane from NoEarth isn't really there. Lycan doesn't actually have anything to contribute, maybe a little bit of harassment with the Wolves, maybe a Howl. That's about it, so it's mostly going to be in the hands of Vengeful Spirit as well as the Visage, and the two of them have some pretty good magic burst, which is what you want against the Timbersaw, but I don't think it's enough magic burst to actually kill him off reliably, unless Timbersaw, for whatever reason, is supremely out of position, which is possible, but probably unlikely. So the top lane, though it is a delicate situation for Dulce, he is not getting much experience at all. He's, at the same time, not in much trouble of dying. CSO, on the other hand, is going to have a much better time. So regardless of where the first blood actually happens, the top lane from Isurus is pretty safe, although kind of unsuccessful regardless.
Yeah, I mean, when you're 3.5 minutes in, your Timbersaw doesn't have level 2, I'd say that that's a one lane for the enemy, especially when the Lycanthrope has unimpeded farm. Alexi also just farming away. Faceless Void, similar on the CS department, and the Centaur is still able to get a little bit out of this lane, but crucially, Centaur is able to get his levels, whereas the Timbersaw is not, and he's going to get gone on in top. He's body blocked in by the Wolf, but it's not going to last long enough, as Dulce is able to make his way out of there. Although he takes a crucial amount of damage, it's going to be forced on the backlines for even more, still not taking level 2.
That Wolf was actually pretty crucial because it canceled a salve of the Timbersaw, and well, that would have been him at full HP. And oh, I think actually this dual lane from Isurus, okay, I'm going to talk about this in a little bit because he's being hunted down by Fan of Soya and just needs one more axe throw, and that'll kill him off, but he's not going to give chase. Level 1 axes, unfortunately, the cooldown actually doesn't change, but the cooldown is pretty large. I think the reason they're doing this dual lane is not to shut down the Beastmaster, it's just to get double runes. They want to make sure that they get every single rune that spawns, and when you have a dual lane that could go in either direction every 2 minutes, then you're pretty much guaranteed that. So I think that's where they're going with this one, but again, I don't know if it's worth it.
I think they could still do that if they put the Lich up in top and just have him back off over to the rune spot every time. I'm not sure if they really need to commit the Lich entirely to this lane. I think just getting the creeps closer to the tower so you can get experience, and still to the point where they're not pushing like they are currently. The glyph is going to be used, but this tier 1 tower is not long for this world, as with the wolves as well as a full creep wave and a catapult, actually 3 range creeps working away, this tier 1 tower is going to fall in the favor of Ben Earth Spirit. Getting last hit is going to be Lycanthrope.
And they might go for Dulce now, and they're not going to, but still they could actually continue with this push. I don't know how they managed to stack up 4 range creeps on a single lane this early on, but they managed it, and that's quite a bit of damage, especially with the Vengeful Spirit, who did pick up a very early point in that Vengeance aura. They are not going to continue pushing this, though, and this is going to be a ton of experience for the Timbersaw. Suddenly he's at level 4, and he's actually able to do some damage. The supports are going to rotate to the middle lane, but it's the bottom lane that actually with First Blood happened. I completely missed that, guys. I'm sorry. I was looking at the smoke gank. But Centaur, it seems like he is not as safe as I really would have thought. Chronosphere was used, and really that's why.
Yeah, I assume it was just Faceless Void getting aggressive, got a bash, and then Chronosphere was needed. Dulce is going to be zoned out by the Wolves, and the Smoke Cake is continuing from Ban Earth Spirit, although they're completely spotted out, and this is not going to do anything from them. Yeah, Tidehunter going to go down towards bottom to secure himself the 6-minute rune. It is going to be a bounty for him as the top is picked up by the Visage, an illusion for him. So rotation isn't completely wasted, but honestly, it's a missed opportunity where they could have very easily taken this tier 2 tower. The tier 2 tower is going to be glyphed by Isurus Gaming, and the Timbersaw can't do very much about it. But finally, the Timbersaw does have some crucial levels up. Sitting at level 4 now, he's looking just fine.
Yeah, Timbersaw is going to want to get to that level 6 mark, but really, any level that Timbersaw gets is a pretty linear gain in power, except when he gets Chakram. That's the big leap, but aside from that, every single level is really crucial. Alex Z just pretty much by himself. Glacius, as well as the Vengeful Spirit A Heart, have left the lane, and well, now they're back, and they're going to finish off this tier 2 tower. Very rare that we see this much of an aggressive push coming out from any team, but Ravage coming up from the side as GDX is going to land that one on Glacius. The Timber Chain forward, and Glacius is going to go down. Now they're looking for anyone else that they could possibly find. GDX waiting for his Gush to cool down. They're going to go for this Lycan. Doesn't have Shapeshift, and even if he did, I don't know if he will be able to escape, but Dulce off in the sidelines now. The Vengeful Spirit zoning him out. They're still chasing down for this Lycan, who's, for whatever reason, deciding to run the other way. It's a double kill for GDX, and now they're going to go for the Vengeful, who's going to be able to escape regardless. That is 2 kills going the way of Isurus. However, Fanasoyon uses his first roar in the mid lane to get a kill on the Lich in exchange. Well, overall, the kill score sits 3-1, but I think NoEarth, the fact that they took out all those tier 2 towers, is going to mean that they're pretty happy.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The Graphs are going to level up after, or rather, level out after the couple of kills, so it's not going to be a huge advantage either way. But still a fairly even game, and the experience Isurus is getting is favoring them mostly due to the fact that they have a Lich, constantly getting a couple of extra creeps and taking that experience away from the Beastmaster. Beastmaster hasn't been able to roam very effectively, now working towards the mechanism, having the completed mech recipe, and still working towards his headdress. He's going to have that item very quickly, although his mana pool is going to be incredibly strapped. He's going for these engagements, 150, well down in bottom. We do have a Chronosphere being thrown out. They're not able to get the double edge as the heal's going to keep Faceless Void alive. Warlock might be in little trouble as Glacius is going to get slowed down by the Visage, although not enough mana for another Soul Assumption. Glacius is going to give up the charge, so it is going to be just 1 kill going the way of Isurus. Yeah, so a win for them.
That was crazy close. The fight started with them going on the Faceless Void. He survived it and managed to time walk out, and then turned around for a Chronosphere knowing that Nadera was coming in. But the animation for Double Edge was pretty much in progress, and the Faceless Void barely managed to get the kill on Centaur before the Double Edge came out, and that could have made it go exactly the other way. So Faceless Void, whether it's RNG or pure skill, don't really know the answer to that one, but he's going to survive regardless, but that might not be the case for very long. There is a rotation of the Vengeful Spirit as well as the Visage down to the bottom lane. If they get a stun on this Faceless Void, they might be able to kill him off, but they have to chain stun it pretty much perfectly.
Yeah, Visage is very low on mana and only has enough for 1 spell. In fact, doesn't even have enough for 1 Soul Assumption, just a Grave Chill available now. But they might still go for this. Let's see. The Faceless Void is not the easiest target to bring down, although he doesn't have very many points into the backtrack. Does have 2 in Time Walk, excuse me, and will be able to get out to safety fairly easily, although they are using a lot of their time in order to try to do this. Alex Z is currently farming way up in top lane, but this Faceless Void just hasn't been pressured very much, and they're trying to make that change. But I'm not sure this is going to be a successful gank. Let's see if they're even going to go for it. Oh, here we come. They're going to run? Nope.
Now it's all up. I mean, Centaur was playing the lane pretty much how he was before, so he was playing it really cool and trying not to let the Faceless Void know that anything was up and everything was perfectly fine, but Faceless Void smelled something coming, and he's going to dodge death for now. But now there's even more. They have a longer range stun in the Primal Roar. It's not something that you could time walk out of, or it shouldn't be really, unless there's some weird stuff going on, but yeah, now the initiation onto this Faceless Void is a lot easier, but they're fighting into a chaotic offering, and I don't think they can do this, especially when the Faceless Void jumps in, gonna catch a Chronosphere onto Nidara, waiting for that ultimate of his Chain Frost as well. The ultimates are gonna crush NoEarth, and Stampede is going to be there, but I think it's going to be, for the most part, relevant. Actually, no, it's gonna be Dulce chasing down the Vengeful Spirit. Is gonna get the 3rd kill. That's actually 3 kills. I don't know how the Timbersaw got all 3 of them, but he definitely did. In the meantime, middle lane tower did go down, and Alex is going to now pick a fight with the Faceless Void. He can't afford to do this, but he probably isn't going to be able to get the kill. And now he's actually surrounded. Here comes Dulce from the side. 4 points of Timber Chain. Shapeshift is there. They don't have any disables on him unless they get a lucky stun. They're not going to get that bash, and that's going to mean the Lycan's going to take the tower and escape, but still, Isurus showing off the power of their AoE teamfight combo.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a while before they have that available to them again. The Chaotic offering the largest cooldown that they expend there. and that's going to be on cooldown for about 2 minutes here. But yeah, it was comboed correctly, and you can't ask for much more coming out from Isurus' lineup. They're still yet to use a Ravage coming out from the Tidehunter, but he's about to pick up the Blink Daggers, so once he has that tool, they can still fight very effectively. So Isurus, they haven't thrown everything out of their tank, and the Timbersaw is getting closer towards his Bloodstone, and even without it, has a pretty decent mana pool to throw at Chakrams and effectively do damage, as we saw last fight.
Even though NoEarth lost that fight pretty handily, they are still looking to be aggressive at these towers, which is pretty much what their lineup is supposed to do, be aggressive. I would like to see them give a little bit more priority to Vengeful Spirit, get her levels up, and the Visage as well, but Vengeful Spirit's really suffering, and you could really use more levels on her. They're going to take the tier 1 tower mid in exchange for the bottom lane, and now Alex Z might be in a little trouble as Algodonchin. He's going to back off and instead of going for that Lycan kill, Stampede disengaging all of NoEarth. But it is a 1-for-1 tower trade, and NoEarth, they might possibly be looking for more. Fan of Soyan has the bird maxed out, actually, and is going for the aura straight after. So this Beastmaster is pretty much the walking pushing machine, and that's perfectly fine. He's going to actually go for the mech, which is something that really wouldn't expect from Beastmasters in general, especially now that it costs so much mana. He's very, very infrequently going to be able to use mech and all the skills.
Yeah, I think it's almost a requirement that he goes for at least Arcane Boots. Maybe he goes for the point booster towards his Aghanim Scepter. But either way, Fan of Soyan's going to need to get something to bolster his mana pool and not go for the power treads, which he may or may not have wanted to go for. Fan of Soyan doesn't have a lot of money to spend right now either, and we haven't seen very many initiations with this Beastmaster, and it's kind of sad. The strength of a hero is once he gets to level 6, you kind of want to be ganking immediately every time you have Primal Roar off of cooldown.
Yeah, he's been pushing with his team, which is also acceptable. He does offer quite a bit of pushing power. You get double boars up, you get that level 2 attack speed aura as well, so it's decent enough, and sometimes the threat of Primal Roar is enough to keep opponents back so that you can get your objective. That being said, I would like to see this Beastmaster trying to group up with the Vengeful Spirit, the Visage, maybe even the Centaur, and look for some kills. I think what they're waiting to do, though, is get this Centaur as Blink Dagger and then try to do something, because that's really when the ganking power of NoEarth is in full swing. But Fan of Soyan might be in a little bit of trouble. He's being stalked by fullback. A single Frost Blast, a Chain Frost, anything will kill him off, but it looks like the Beastmaster does know that this is coming, and well, DDX is going to blink after him, not going to find anything, so Beastmaster clearing off most of the Ancients. Two of the really big ones, those are the high value targets, are still alive, but he does manage to slip away regardless. And now, Isurus, they have all of their AoE team fight up, and they're going to go for another push, knowing that if NoEarth start a fight, they will probably lose it.
For now, we're going to have to wait, as Beastmaster is going to pause the game for an unknown reason. Yeah, so we're just going to chill until that's back up. I'm not sure they're actually going to mount a defense for this tier 1 tower. It feels a little risky, especially since you don't have your Centaur Blink Dagger yet. You do have the Stampede to potentially get out of trouble, but there's not a great way that NoEarth are able to start the fight on their own terms. No Blink Dagger on your Beastmaster, no Aghanims, nothing along those lines. CSO is about to have his Blink, but I think at least this tier 1 tower is going to be forfeit.
Really, the objective for NoEarth is to pick off Isurus and make sure that they never have a chance to get into this full 5-man death ball, because this is where Isurus are at their most dangerous, and now they're going to jump in and show it. Ravage is going to go only onto CSO, however, Chain Frost is there, and Fan of Soyan and CSO are going to get obliterated, as will the Vengeful Spirit off to the side. Now Fan of Soyan dumps the Roar, will kill the face of this Void, but the rest of the NoEarth heroes jumping very, very low. Mech will keep them up for now. Glacius Frost blasted down, and now Fan of Soyan, the last one to be alive. That was the shortest upheaval I've ever seen in my life. DDX still trying to go for Fan of Soyan, will not be able to secure the kill on the Beastmaster, yet that still is a 3-for-1 trade. The Lycan trying to make that a couple of towers in favor of NoEarth, but I don't think that's going to happen because, well, here comes the Tidehunter, and there's nothing that Alex Z can really do about this matchup.
It wasn't a clean fight by any means coming out from Isurus Gaming. The Ravage was very questionable at the early portions of that fight. I would have liked to see that follow up the Chronosphere instead of overlapping and only landing on one. Deep away from the Timbersaw, they're not able to fully get this tier 2 tower, but they still get a teamfight win, kind of as expected whenever they have those ultimates online. It definitely could have gone worse for NoEarth, and they still get the kill on the Faceless Void, so it's not a huge loss for them, but still a loss nonetheless.
I think the only thing that could have went wrong there is Tidehunter had his Blink Dagger canceled. That would make sense. I didn't see it canceled, but I mean, you don't throw a Ravage from that far. That just doesn't make sense at all. So yeah, I gotta assume that DDX had his Blink Dagger canceled. Maybe it was Howl of Terror, Wave of Terror from the Vengeful. Maybe it was random axes, I have no idea, but regardless, it is going to be a one fight from Isurus, and the problem with their lineup is that outside of the Timbersaw, all of these heroes are just 100% reliant on their ultimates, especially the Warlock and Tidehunter. When Isurus don't have their ultimates up, Ban Earth have chances to do things, and right now that includes going for Roshan. It should be very easy for them.
Yeah. Well, we're still waiting for the Beastmaster. Having problems with his PC. He's going to go ahead and finish up the power treads after getting the mechanism. I think this is kind of questionable because if you add up the mana cost, 225 on the mechanism, 150 on Primal Roar, and then he'll have one Axes maybe if he hasn't been spamming Call of the Wild, but it's, I don't know, just a juggling game. His mana management is going to be very important because if you go without a mech or without a Primal Roar in a team fight, that could be huge for Ban Earth. Yeah, I think one of the biggest problems for Ban Earth now is that they have a tower lead, but they're behind in net worth. It's a 4,000 advantage for Isurus, and the experience is also in their favor, although that's more to be expected. It's just not a great place to be in. Lycanthrope is looking good as far as items are concerned, currently working on the Roshan. He is getting close to an Necronomicon 3, or will have a Necronomicon 2 after this Rosh dies, if he chooses to finish that one up. I don't know, this Roshan is pretty risky, although it's not completely spotted out by the Radiant team. They might know this is going on if the Visage Familiars move a little too far north.
Yeah, there was an Observer Ward there, so I think they definitely know that the Lycan at the very least is in there, but that's about it. Centaur does have his Blink Dagger, so if Ban Earth, even if they are spotted now, then Isurus can't really do anything about it because all of their ultimates are down. If they had another 100 seconds off of their cooldowns, then that would have been an easy cleanup for Isurus in this tight Roshan corridors, but as it stands right now, Ban Earth are going to be able to secure this Roshan, and then I think they just have to keep going for these towers. They have to play in between the Isurus' cooldowns. If they don't, they're simply going to lose, because as you said, they should be ahead now in gold, but they're not, because they keep losing these team fights so handily. So they have to make something happen outside of the team fights, and the Lycan Necrobook is going to be crucial in that. He needs to split push and just force Isurus to not take that full 5v5 fight. If you could take out a single hero out of that ultimate equation, then suddenly Ban Earth stand a chance. Not a huge one, but it's really the only one they have.
Yeah, I think that's fair. All of their eggs are kind of in this Lycan basket, and it's not a great position to be in. They can't really take it comfortably late, with the exception of split pushing. That's all that they're really going to fall back on. Vengeful Spirit has the Urn for team, the Visage has a Medallion, but the items are coming out for these supports. An Aghanim Scepter on the Visage would be wonderful, but that's not going to come for quite some time, as with only 600 gold on the Visage on top of the items it currently has. Yeah, it's going to be a while before we see that evolve. Let's see, the cooldowns on the side of Isurus, they're going to be down for a minute before they have their Chronosphere, and then 80 seconds for Lich Ultimate and Tidehunter Ravage. They're probably going to wait before they actually jump into another fight. Timbersaw is about 1,800 gold away, or thereabouts, until he has his completed Bloodstone. So there's going to be a little bit of a lull in the action for Isurus. That's going to be an opening for Lycanthrope to push some of these lanes out, although the tier 2 towers are still looking pretty darn healthy.
There's also a chance that when Isurus do have their ultimates up again, they'll have, at the very least, one Aghanim Scepter on Nidara. Aghanim's Warlock ultimate is absolutely devastating. Those two golems just tear shit up, and it's not even funny. He's already holding 2 parts of that item, and he has another 1,000 gold to bank, so essentially holding 3 parts of that item. Within 100 seconds, getting 1,000 gold on a support is going to be extremely slow and probably isn't going to happen, but it is possible that by the time he actually wants to drop it, he will have the double golems available. And, well, the Faceless Void, he's probably going to go for a BKB with this item set, although I wouldn't exactly say no to this Overclub being turned into an Aghanim's either, but either way, Isurus pretty much have all the items that they need for their team comp to work, and their Faceless Void, as long as he keeps farming, they should have decent late game as well.
Yeah, I think it is going to be BKB for the Faceless Void, especially since you're working with cooldowns that are long that you're already having to wait for. I don't think the shorter cooldown on Chronosphere is going to help them that much. Although it's not really a bad item by any stretch of the imagination. I think BKB is slightly better. You're also dealing with Swap as well as Brewmaster or Beastmaster Roar. It does go through BKB, so arguably either way. Yep, still chilling as Beastmaster decides to disconnect yet again. Hopefully he gets these issues worked out. I have no idea what's actually going on.
Yeah, don't really know either, and apparently nobody really knows. So, Beastmaster, kind of a crucial hero for Ban Earth to have, and yeah, I mean, we already went over pretty much the items and the flow of the game. Alexi is working towards his Necrobook, is actually going for 2 recipes instead of that 1,000 item chunk in the Staff of Wizardry, which is not something you see every day, but it's perfectly workable. I mean, you'll get instant level 3 Necrobook. I don't really like this because the scaling between level 1 Necrobook and level 3 is perfectly linear. They, you just get additional bonuses and it's flat, so no huge scaling there, but he could have a Necrobook by now, but instead he's going to hold on to just the recipes. Kind of weird.
Yeah, even just the extra mana and stuff from completing it. It might be a little bit mind games, like, oh, the Lycanthrope, he has no farms since he's not holding onto his Necrobook yet, and he's still waiting to pick it up, but I don't know. At this point, Isurus should know something's up, or at least expect him to get the Necrobook completed soon.
And, yeah, that's pretty much it for the items. Everything that's actually unique at the very least. Visage with the medallion, nothing really too weird there, I don't think. No medallion changes, right? I don't think there were.
Don't think so.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of. It looks like the same old medallion.
Yeah, for some reason I just had in my head that medallion now builds into something, but that's clearly not right.
Yeah, that's Buckler and Vanguard. It might be purgeable or something like that. I don't know. If there was a change, it would probably be one of those,
Yeah,
but
that's
I don't think
boring.
it's... Yeah, I don't think it's actually been changed.
Alright, so guys, just waiting for the Beastmaster to reconnect. For anyone who is curious, this is Game 1 of the best of 3 between Isurus and Ban Earth, and the winner guaranteed a spot in Division 1. Loser still could be in Division 1 for next season, but not guaranteed, so that's where we stand right now, and we are just waiting for Pink to get back into this game. So, is it time for cosmetics? Because I think it might be.
I think so. I'm not sure there's anything else to talk about. Our moon base is already kind of planned out, and I don't think we have anything to go over there.
Yeah, the HeflaTV moon base is coming along swimmingly.
Yeah, let's see if I can find any interesting cosmetics. There's not much to really go on.
These items suck.
More or
There's
less.
nothing, man.
Not really. Faceless Void has the most items out of anybody, but his items are... He has 5 commons and 1 rare that drops. And it's not even that great.
That's like what I would have equipped, just because I don't really care about completing sets.
Exactly. Exactly. I have that mace. And I used to have the face.
I don't know
The
if I have this head. I don't know. They all kind of look the same, except for that one that has like a giant cave-in where his forehead is. That one's
Yeah,
fucking
where it's
weird.
like a cutaway. Yeah, that's pretty freaky. It's really expensive too, so that's something to talk about. Well, we are going to go in the Roshan pit as Pink does grace us with his presence, and Roshan, it looks like it's going to fall without much contention in the favor of Ban Earth. They're still farming, and on the other side of the map, kind of as expected. Lycanthrope going to secure himself an Aegis, and is going to ship himself out a Necrobook 2 completed.
Yeah, nice little jump in power for the Lycan, and it's going to be, a pretty sizable one, seeing as though normally it's just going to be a Necro 1. The question is, can he get anything off of this? Because Ban Earth, they still want to do something with this Aegis, but they're quickly running out of time because the top lane push from Isurus is being assembled. They're going to push the first tower without their ultimates. It's kind of bold, but at the same time, they know that Ban Earth are going to be unwilling to defend such a risky tower that, quite frankly, Ban Earth don't need to defend. So they're going to feel comfortable doing this, but by the time they get to the tier 2s, they're going to have all their ultimates up. Nadera won't have his ultimate aghanimmed, but that's fine because the level 1 non-aghanimmed ultimates for Isurus are doing just fine. Ban Earth, they might get a tier 2 tower out of this, but they're definitely going to lose 1 at the very least on top lane. Probably even 2.
Yeah, and if you're trading tier 2 for tier 2 up against the Lycanthrope, that's perfectly acceptable. The tier 2 town in bottom is going to fall a lot faster than one up top since they did abandon the push there. And they're going to jump in for Chronosphere. It lands nicely onto 2, although there's not a lot of follow-up here. They drop the ultimate from the Centaur to get people out to safety as this war is going to go the way of the Faceless Void. He's brought down very low magic missile as well as a soul assumption bring him down. Lich drops his ultimate, but doesn't really do much with it as it doesn't bounce in the blink. Double edge from CSO. Secures a kill on the Lich, but he's going to give away his life for it as DDX gets a dominating spree with that anchor smash. Tier 2 tower is still standing, but not for long. People's going to be annoying as they drop a Ravage. Only lands on a fan of Soyan. They're looking to kill him off as the swap comes out from the Vengeful Spirit. She's at least going to give up her life and might be giving up more as the Chaotic Offering drops onto 2. Blink forward by DDX as this fight is splitting up under the tower. Glacius trying to get that deny off, or at least dying to the enemy team. Phantom Soyan trying for a TP out. Will he be able to make it? I think he will. Back to base with Phantom Soyan. Tier 2 tower, I believe it was taken by the Visage, and indeed it was. It is a 1 for 3 after all is said and done. No, a 2 for 3. The Lich also fell to the double-edging Centaur.
Okay, 2 things that actually happened there. First, Centaur was an absolute boss, except for the fact that he kind of suicided for the Lich. That I don't quite agree with, but after the Chronosphere was dropped, he jumped in and got a 2-man stun, and that's why there was no follow-up, because the other 2 heroes were stunned and they had a Centaur to deal with. So Faceless Void kind of went in expecting support, and normally it would be a safe assumption, but Centaur was there to deny all of that. Second, what was the second thing? Second, what the hell's up with Tidehunter's Ravages? They're just been terrible.
I don't know.
And that time he didn't have his Blink Dagger canceled, so I don't really know what's going on with GDX, but kind of uncharacteristically poor performance from him.
Yeah, I would say so as well. Usually his hero play is incredibly good. Maybe it's just not a hero that he's comfortable with. I've never seen him play Tidehunter before, but honestly, it's not the hardest hero to work out, especially once you have a Blink Dagger. Yeah, he just kind of let it loose, and it landed on the Phantom Soyan alone.
Well, for Isurus' case, I certainly hope that DDX is going to start landing some better Ravages, because there were so far 2 in a row that hit one person only on the very edge because he was kind of lucky about it. But either way, it's going to be NoEarth going to continue with their pushing. They see one more tier 2 tower on the map, and they're going to go and try to snag that one for themselves. They do have the Roar, but this is kind of dangerous going into this. A lot less so because they only have to deal with 1 AoE ultimate, soon to be 2. Chronosphere is up and Chain Frost is soon to be up. Now fullback and he gets swapped right back into CSO. Goodbye Lich. Suddenly no more Chain Frost potential. That's going to be the tower, and I think off of that they should go for a high ground push. They're not going to get so much stronger. They might as well just get what they can. It's going to be limited, this push, but it's still going to put some sort of pressure onto Isurus.
Yeah, I think as long as you have the Necrobook on the ground, put as much damage as you can onto this tier 3 tower and probably take it. Upheaval is going to be channeled yet again for a split second. We've seen that a couple of times. Not really being very impactful. Visage drops the birds and does nothing as we pause the game for another time. Buyback on the Lich, I have no idea what that was about. It was at the very end of his coming back time, I believe.
I was not actually watching his respawn time. I assumed that NoEarth would just be gone by the time Lich respawned, but I guess Isurus wanting to catch them off guard. However, Faceless Void isn't really in a position that would kind of indicate that. He's very far back, and if he was looking to jump in with the Lich buyback and surprise NoEarth, then he would be pretty much where the Timbersaw is right now, but he's clearly not there. So Isurus are going to waste some buyback money, and they're going to not lose a tier 3. Actually, they're going to keep moving forward. Glacius taking a lot of burst damage from Dulce, not enough to kill him off as Algodonchin decides not to use Chronosphere. He's going to save instead for the Lycan. Here comes Dulce diving right into that Chronosphere, but Alexi I think is going to go down regardless. Yes, that's going to be the Aegis, and now he's going to respawn not shapeshifted. So this is going to be pretty easy follow-up in order to kill him off, although swap out from the Vengeful Spirit. She's going to give her life for the Lycan. However, now the DDX gets a 3-man Ravage. That's what I'm talking about, plus the 2-man Chaotic Offering. The mech is there, but they're going to give chase. Birds onto DDX as well as the Warlock Golem is going to slow them all down. Phantom Soyan is going to be the one who's actually focused, but there's not enough mana on Faceless Void for another time walk. Phantom Soyan still taking damage, but still should be fine. No, with another Gush, he won't be. And that's going to be the death of the Beastmaster as well as the Lycan. Dulce caught up to him up on the north side. That's going to be a huge fight and a huge win for Isurus. They still have the Chain Frost, and in another minute, they'll have a Chronosphere as well. And seriously, what is up with the internet in this game?
This best of 3 is going to feel so long if we have more pauses like this. It's a good win for Isurus, and finally we do see the power of that Ravage. That one was on the money from the Tidehunter. Catches 2 almost instantly and catches another one off to the side. I believe it was the Fatal Bonds that kill off the Lycan in the end, but it was the Timbersaw that did the bulk of that damage. It was the Gush being thrown across the map to get that kill. Or at least that's what it felt like as far as the timers were concerned. So yeah, it's going to be NoEarth getting punished for sticking around maybe a little bit too much. The Lich is going to have nothing, but honestly, Lich buyback doesn't mean that much. Earlier, than they still have the Lich Chain Frost, and they will have a Chronosphere in about 60 seconds or so. There's definitely a window for Isurus to fight. They should at least be able to take the tier 1 or tier 2 tower, excuse me. Even though it's at full health, With 30 seconds down for the Beastmaster as well as the Lycanthrope, not much that they can contest. Although I don't think they'll go high ground here. Yeah, another disconnect. It looks like we're going to be here for quite some time.
Oh my god, guys, we are in here for the long haul, but anyway, that was actually pretty much the ideal fight for Isurus, not just because they had all those teamfight ultimates land on the correct people, but because they got through the Aegis. And when you're going with this huge one-shot, we're just going to kill you all in a wombo combo kind of lineup, the Aegis is your worst enemy, because when it's on someone like a Lycan, he is going to soak up all that damage, probably die, but then respawn and then go to town, because at that point you're probably out of gas. They took the Aegis out when Lycan was awkwardly all alone, used a Chronosphere for that one, but it was certainly worth the investment. And then they managed to kind of avoid that problem of the Aegis and the fact that they are so bursty in their team fights. So that fight was pretty well played from Isurus overall, and it's going to give them even more of a lead in this game. It was actually not that much of a lead. A lot less than I thought. It was actually net worth almost at 0, but experience is going to be extended kind of as predicted. But 16-5 and Isurus are looking pretty good as long as they keep fighting with their cooldowns, and as long as NoEarth don't hit those crucial timings in between the long cooldowns, then Isurus should be fine moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Lycan is working towards a BKB, presumably is his next item. They still have the Faceless Void Chronosphere to lock him down during the BKB, but he'll be a lot more comfortable if he doesn't have to deal with the likes of Ravage, as well as the Chain Frost, and also the Timber Subburst, which was really great at bringing him down early on. Or rather, in that last fight when they were killing with the Aegis. So yeah, honestly, I wish teams would communicate a little bit more to actually know what's happening or what's wrong, but honestly, there's nothing we could do about it. Even if we knew what's happening, it's just more frustrating this way.
Now is about time when you just laid the admin hammer onto NoEarth, because this is like the 5th pause or something like that. It's been dogs everywhere, so yeah, I don't know. And well, I mean, we were kind of going over this entire scenario when NoEarth were still in that Roshan pit, and it played out pretty much as expected. Like, they got a couple of objectives, they took down a couple towers, but then Isurus had their team fight come together and they won. And that's really going to be the name of the game for the rest of this duration, which it's only been 20 minutes of gameplay, but I'm pretty sure it's been closer to 30, 40 in actual sitting in Dota time. So yeah, it's gonna be like this for pretty much the rest of the game. NoEarth, they need to hit their timings, and Isurus, they just need to turtle up in between their cooldowns, and that's about it, man. That's about it. I don't even know anymore.
It sums it up nicely. I'm not sure we can talk about it anymore. And if we do, we might just end up theory crafting ourselves into a hole and then be proven completely wrong as we convince ourselves of something ridiculous. So honestly, I'm not even sure if we should talk about it anymore. Let's see. Hopefully they'll just connect and we can see how it's going to unfold. Yeah. I don't know. If there's anything you want to ask us in the Twitch chat, go ahead, as we'll have some time to go ahead. Question
Yay.
time. Yeah, I don't know. It's all in Spanish and Portuguese, and I can't read it.
Oh well, I mean, all right. How about what was the last pick for NoEarth? It was the Centaur, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think this game would be like if they instead picked up what we thought, the Tinker or the Drow Ranger? I think it would be a lot worse for them, in fact, because Centaur is the only one who's actually really doing some heavy lifting.
I think so too. Although their split push would be quite a bit stronger, and they might have been able to continue on that path. I don't know. The Centaur is doing a lot of work for them, and I'm not sure they'd be comfortable in that situation. If the Beastmaster instead was replaced by a Tinker or a Drow, maybe they'd be in a better position, because this Beastmaster hasn't felt like he's done anything.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you. Beastmaster certainly hasn't been lifting his own weight. I mean, maybe we're underestimating just the passive advantage that the Hawk gives, having that vision as well as level 2 aura, but there hasn't been, I don't think, a single time where he's been initiating on one person with the Roar, and the rest of the teams are behind him, and then they kill him off. And that's really what you want with the Beastmaster. It hasn't happened, and oh my god, guys, please. This is just, yeah, more pauses than a UG game. I love it.
You know, it's something. Yeah. I don't know. I'd love to see Beastmaster work out, and it is very hard to underestimate that passive advantage that the vision is giving him. But honestly, I haven't seen the Hawk being used to great effect. I don't know. I've been keeping an eye on their vision. A lot of it just comes down to good warding coming out from the supports, which is nice and all. But I'm not sure that the Hawk has actually led to some really great centaur initiations or anything of the sorts.
All right, so the verdict is pretty much Beastmaster, not quite there. I mean, he is definitely a powerful hero, but I just don't think NoEarth are looking for these pickoffs. Whether it's intentionally, they're just deciding not to, or the fact that Isurus are most of the time grouped up, as we see right now on the screen, and you can't look for those single pickoffs. Either way, Beastmaster Roar is, when it's used in the fight, just like in the middle of everything, it loses a lot of its flair because it's such a great stun from such a long range that you don't really want to be wasting it in just a giant clustered fight.
Yeah. Well, that sums it up. Let's see. Well, yeah. Hopefully this is it. He's back in the game.
All right, I think the next pause is going to happen at 24:50. I'm being generous.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 2300.
Okay, so the bets are in, guys. The bets are in, and we'll see who's closer. Is this like the Price is Right, where it's like closest without going over? Because I might want to change my bet if so.
No take backsies.
Damn it. We should have established rules beforehand, but either way, we're back in this game for however long. And, well, Timbersaw has his Bloodstone. I want to say that the next item after this is going to be the Aghanims, because it's pretty ridiculous having double Chakram.
I would say so too. That's at least my favorite build to see. Shiva's is still not a bad item. Having that warrior for your team, extra armor would be incredibly useful, as well as just the attack speed. So I can't really fault him if he goes for something a little bit more conventional from last patch. But I'd love to see the Ags Timbersaw.
Looks like NoEarth, they are going to be smoking up and looking for a pickoff, knowing that Isurus' cooldowns are down, but it's only going to be for another minute where they have their probably best ultimate down, which is the Warlock Chaotic Offering. And the fact that they're not finding anyone is just terrible. They need to be picking off people and killing off a single Ancient stack, getting everyone from Isurus to fall back into their base. It's a win, but it's not a substantial win, not by any stretch. So, NoEarth, they make the right kind of decision. Unfortunately, it's not going to bear fruit for them, and that's just going to mean more time for Isurus to wait for their cooldowns and then get those additional items. The Aghanim Scepter, hopefully, on the... Oh, man, I'm so off.
Okay,
Damn.
I was off too. I said 23, but
Yeah.
I'm the winner in this game because I'm the closest without going over.
You did go over, though.
No.
If it
Wait,
was like 23-30, then
Wait, what?
you would win.
No.
If I bet like 0 minutes, like in The Price is Right, then I'm correct.
No, it's opposite since we're counting down. We're not counting up. Money is additive. We're
That is
okay. I don't know.
more true.
We both lose. I don't know.
Yeah, there are no winners in this.
There's no winners. We don't have Dota to watch. It's pauses and
No matter
more
who
pauses.
wins this game, everyone loses.
Yeah, I don't know. Tidehunter did go for the Shivas for his team, so I think Aghanims is probably your best item for Timbersaw. The lockdown coming out from Banner Spirit is pretty substantial. Eventual Spirit, Magic Missile, as well as Center of Stomp. BKB might not be bad, but then again, I think just being able to burst down targets ASAP is going to be wonderful, especially since you have a Bloodstone already to maintain that mana pool. There's not a great reason not to get the Ags. It's also going to make you pretty darn beefy.
I feel like Faceless Void just doesn't have any items, despite the fact that he's third in the net worth. It feels like he just doesn't have anything substantial, because it's like all these intermediate items, the Ring of Aquila, Poor Man's Shield, Power Treads, those types of things, but Isurus, their late game scaling isn't quite there. It's fine because they have late game scaling in the Warlock, who's going to be going for a Refresh Orb, so, pretty standard item builds across the board for not only just Isurus, but for everyone. Fairly vanilla things going on right here. Venesoyan is going to get a Necrobook, so that's going to be soon to be 4 levels of Necrobook on the NoEarth side. And that's quite a lot of pushing, but, they can't exactly just go for these pushes because they have to worry about Ravages and stuff like that, so they will might get someone killed by the last wheel damage, but that seems kind of ambitious.
Yeah, well, the G's are going to come out from both sides, and fingers crossed, hope we don't have any more pauses. Hopes aren't high, but hopefully not any more for this game at the very least.
I think our bets still stand, because I don't have much faith in these players' abilities and their internet in order to stay correct. So I'm still at 24-50.
Okay, yeah, it's not great. Let's see, double damage being picked up by CSO. Scouting inside the row, Sean Pitt, absolutely useless, as it's still a minute before it even has the possibility of being up, but it doesn't really hurt either. Yeah, it's going to be another time for Isurus to group up. They have all of their cooldowns available for them, and I don't know, Timbersaw is now completely back up to mana after going into base, and I think this is time to go down either bottom or top. Top is probably your best bet, as bottom is already pretty darn low, and it would be easy to swing down after winning a fight. I think you want to take a fight near that tier 2 top a little more.
Yeah, I think so too. NoEarth, they should know at this point that Isurus' ultimates are up, so they're probably not going to be jumping at a chance to defend a tier 2. It's probably just going to be them sacking whatever Isurus want to go for, and Isurus are probably going to be able to overpower them, even if NoEarth do decide to mount a defense. Regardless, they are going to smoke up now, and the Timber Chain is going to be spotted by the boar. If the Beastmaster was looking, he would know where the Timbersaw is. What the hell is the Timbersaw doing? He's just firing off Timber Chains and missing. Okay, Dulce is having some fun, I guess, but they're going to smoke up and then kind of not go anywhere, trying to run to someone, but they can't find anyone.
It is going to be an Aghanim Scepter on your Faceless Void, so reducing a cooldown at the level 11 ultimate is going to be really useful and gives them a ultimate that's not really going to be tied down by the restrictions of the other cooldowns. Like, it'll be up for pretty much every major fight that they might consider taking. And with a Timbersaw that might be getting an Aghanim Scepter, it looks like that is going to be his choice with the point booster in his inventory. They'll have plenty of damage to pump to that Chronosphere as well, even with just the Mask of Madness as well as the Ags on the Timber. So yeah, it's going to be a tier 2 tower up and top that they're going to push. The group up comes out from Ban Earthspirit as they're looking down towards bottom, although they're not going to find anybody, and it's pretty obvious that they're not going to find anybody, as everybody on Isurus bar the Lich is showing in lane.
Yeah, they're going to go for this tower push, and this team fight from Isurus with this Aghanim Scepter Faceless Void got not much scarier, but a lot more consistent. And as we were saying, that's really the only weak point of the Isurus matchup, of the Isurus lineup, is that they can take team fights in a devastating fashion, but only sometimes. They're going to take this tier 2 tower pretty easily. It will be at the cost of Roshan, so they are going to have to deal with someone with a double life. Most likely it is going to be, once again, that Lycan who's going to be holding it. Yes, it will be Lycan with a double life, but now everyone has to teleport back because their top lane is in some sort of danger. The pushing from Isurus is not that strong, especially if they don't have any Warlock Golems up and alive, but they're still going to be able to put some damage on it and force Banner to do something.
Yeah, and if they get caught out in a clumped up situation, a teamfight from Isurus is ridiculous. And at that point, it doesn't matter how good your pushing is. He gets a 3-man Chronosphere with very little else and catches some pretty important targets, but there's nobody else there. The Ravage doesn't come out from DDX yet. There he unleashes it, going to land on a 3. They lose the Aegis on the Lycanthrope, and the Beastmaster also going to die. He's flying back into this game as DDX, chasing very hard under the tier 4 towers. He's going to be able to back off as the ultimate for the Beastmaster is going to be dropped onto Dulce. Tidehunter on the backline is dropped down by CSO as he gets double edge to the face. The Timber Chain is going to land from Dulce. He's dropping pretty low himself. The Golems are shredding through the enemy team. He gets a Warlink death off, although it doesn't matter. He's just going to deny himself. Fan of Soyan is probably going to fall to 6 charges, keep him alive for a little bit more, but just pummeled to death by these Golems. They're doing work in this team fight. Alex C bashed down by the Faceless Void, and now this tier 3 tower probably going to fall. Buybacks are available on the Lycan and Centaur, but I'm not sure if they're going to use it. A very interesting engage. They're going to buy back on their Centaur. I think this tier 3 tower is as good as dead, however.
Once again, Centaur running distraction, making sure that the rest of the Isurus team can't successfully or can't fluidly follow up with the Faceless Void Chronosphere, but they're still going to chase this one, and now the Faceless Void actually has another Chronosphere, so disengage should be very easy. He should probably just drop that one for fullback to leave, because fullback is actually just dead, so it's too late to do that. Too bad for him, but either way, it is going to be a successful defense for Ban Earth, despite the fact their towers did drop very low. I think that fight really showed how Isurus, though they are very bursty, as soon as they used all their ultimates, they're kind of out of gas, because they killed off the Lycan, they took out his Aegis, but when he got back up, he was just able to run wild, and even though that was kind of stopped by the fact the Warlock Golems were there for such a long time, it's kind of showing the weakness of Isurus. It's not the weakness being exploited or anything like that, but it's something that NoEarth are going to have to be aware of later on, and Isurus too, that if they don't take a crushing fight after they use all their ultimates, then odds are they're just not going to win it.
Yeah, Timbersaw now with the Aghanim Scepter is going to give them quite a bit more sustained burst throughout the team fight, so that might not be a huge issue. I think the Timbersaw suicided a little bit early, but he was at least able to deny that gold away from the enemy team, so I suppose it's fine, although I think they could have gotten another kill if he stuck around, or at least made that kill a lot cleaner, potentially allowing other people to retreat. But that's water under the bridge. High ground is defended by NoEarth Spirit, but to what end? The Lycanthrope has his BKB. But honestly, even if this Lycan gets 6-slotted, you're still working up against a Faceless Void, which is also not that scary currently, but if he gets another 1 or 2 items on top of this, he could be very difficult for the Lycan to deal with, especially if he doesn't have an Aegis available.
There's Faceless Void damage, also the Chronosphere, which is going to go through BKB, also the stun from the Warlock, which is going to go BKB, plus the damage from the Golems, which is just huge, and we saw that in the last fight, so BKB is definitely going to help out the Lycan, there's no doubt about that, but it's also going to mean that he's not invulnerable, which usually does mean your Lycan is just going to be running wild, and no one's going to be able to do jack against it, but this time it's not going to be the case. Glacius on the bottom lane, he's going to be Chronosphered up, and CSO is going to jump right into there as well. He's going to land Hoof Stomp into Algodonchin. The burst damage, not quite there because he dodges the Magic Missile with Backtrack. He's still trying to run. There's a Stampede, still alive, but now the Warlock ultimate is going to drop. But where's the rest of the heroes? GDX has his Ravage, but CSO and the BKB is really just running rampant in this fight. They're going to unleash the Ravage now, but it's a little bit too late, I think. Although the Warlock Golem's still going to town, will demolish pretty much everyone. CSO trying to TP out, not going to happen. These Warlock Golems are just crushing everybody. Dulce wasn't even in that fight, yet that was a 4-for-2 exchange right there, and Isurus are definitely going to take this tier 2 tower, and they're going to put a little bit of damage up to the high ground. NoEarth, they don't have any buybacks. They'll have Lycan to defend. This might be another tower going down, in fact.
Yeah, even though this Lycan, or Warlock, excuse me, has been laned as a support, he's completely hit his stride. As nice as Professor is, it's, I don't know, kind of just a showy item at the end of the game. Right now, the Warlock Golems are hitting like trucks, especially when you get Fatal Wands onto 3 heroes, which I believe is what happened in the last fight, if not more. But it did a lot of work. And now we have another Golem set to drop if he needs it, and we might just see the double Golems drop. Let's see, he has barely enough mana to do both of them. Unfortunately, he doesn't have Arcane Boots, so he'll need to pick up a little bit more mana pool if he wants to use any of his other spells on top of it. But still, this is going to make their team fight more consistent, even if he doesn't do the double drop.
Yeah, and that's really what it's all about right now for Isurus. Shore up the only weakness, which is the inconsistency in the team fight. Chakram, double Chakram's going to help in that. Aghanim Scepter Faceless Void is going to help. Refresher Orb on the Warlock, and hopefully for the Tidehunter, Refresher Orb eventually, but it looks like he's going to instead go for, I'm assuming, a Sheep Stick with this Ultimate Orb. Nothing else really comes to mind as a huge item pickup for the Tide. Now they're going to go for Dulce, who is, for some reason, in the enemy jungle, is very tanky, though, taking quite a few hits. He's going to get chain stunned perfectly, though. Can't unleash a single spell. That's going to be Vengeful Spirit taking the kill on the Timbersaw, but it's only a 10-second cooldown for his respawn because he does have so many Bloodstone charges, so it is a lost death for Isurus, but it's not going to hold them out for too long because still they're waiting just 40 seconds, and then they're going to look to high ground. It's going to most likely be top lane, and then at that point, NoEarth, they're going to have their hand forced. They have a 9-second BKB on the Centaur, but that's about it. There is a Aghanim Scepter on Glacius, but Anchor Smash has been dealing with them pretty easily, those familiars, and no real items, no real substantial items, aside from the BKB as well as the Aghanim on Visage on the Banner side, so they might be in a little bit of trouble when Isurus go for this next push.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The Timbersaw is down to the default 8 charges on his Bloodstone, which is unfortunate for him. The double Chakram drains your mana like nobody's business, and he's not going to have that available. He's going to go for Phantom Soy and misses Chakram 1, misses Chakram 2, and it's not going to be able to connect with that damage. Although with the Gush slow, he's going to pop the Mechanism, which helps him for a little bit, but now the Centaur gets a nice double stomp. Does he have enough backup to get out of here safely? Does not have ultimate for 4 seconds. It's going to be defensively swapped out by the Vengeful Spirit, and now just kind of running around awkwardly. Sun goes away of Dulce as he drops Chakram through the BKB target, and the Centaur ultimate to disengage. Nobody's going to die just yet.
Even though no one dies, that's still a huge win from Isurus. They force out, most crucially, the BKB from the Centaur. Stampede is also used there. It's probably going to be up by the time this push actually gets to the front door, but no BKB on the Centaur means that he's going to get hit with the Ravage and the Chain Frost damage and all of that unhappy stuff. So The Timbersaw is actually not even going to be a part of this fight. I guess someone does have to defend this, but Boots of Travels, oh, there we go. Boots of Travels on him. Unfortunately, they're on cooldown because he just teleported back. Regardless, the rest of Isurus looking for a jump in. Faceless Void has shown that he's willing to go in super aggressively, even ahead of his rest team. CFSO is going to open up this fight, though, with the Hoof Stomp double edge. Now swap back, roar onto Algodonchin as well, but he's already down. No Chronosphere in this fight, but Warlock Golem's number 1, Warlock Golem's number 2, and they're just tearing everyone to pieces. Alexi can't even fight up against these. A-Heart in the back line is going to try to go for full back, but the Warlock Golems are, for the most part, actually already dead. Lots of AoE damage, killing them off somehow. Now CFSO going to get 3-man Hoof Stomp, DDX dropping very low, will kill off the Centaur, but trade his own life in exchange. Nadara also going to drop. That's a triple kill for Glacius. I don't know how the hell they cut through that HP on the golems so quickly, but it certainly worked out. Isurus, they take a 4v5 fight, which, you know, is already kind of a little bit sketchy, but I thought they would do a lot better. They used pretty much everything with the exception of Chronosphere, and I guess that was really just the difference.
Yeah, I suppose so. It's very rare to see a Warlock lose a fight when he has those double golems to drop. I think they killed a couple of Necrobooks, but they just got picked apart. Centaur disconnects. We're probably not going to pause for 30 seconds, but in 30 seconds, the dreaded pause is going to come. No pause coming out from Ban Earth. So they are going to micro their Centaur at least for a little bit longer. But yeah, honestly, I'm not sure how those golems died so quickly. The physical damage coming out from Ban Earth Spirit is pretty significant, but their AoE is very lackluster. Hoof Stomp Double Edge is there, but I'm not even sure if you can call that AoE. The Howl of Terror, Wave of Terror rather, is also going to do something, but it's not that much. Vengeful Spirit is going to be working for a Diffusal Blade for your team. It's a really useful spell item up against the Warlock Golems, but then again, you're only taking away a quarter of the efficiency of the double ultimate. It's good, but it's not enough, and it's a lot committed for the support that I'm not sure if it's worth it. It's still going to be a nice tool, regardless. Lycanthrope picks up his heart. He's getting pretty close to his maximum efficiency as a hero. Abyssal Blade, maybe, and then Boots of Travel, but that's about it. Other big items, we have Timbersaw completing up a Blink Dagger for himself, so his positioning in the fight should be pretty on point, but still only 8 Bloodstone charges on Dulce.
Yeah, and if Dulce was in that last fight, I think they probably could have definitely gotten at the very least 1 additional kill, but that Timbersaw not being there wasn't the difference in that fight. It was the fact that the Warlock Golems and the Chronosphere weren't actually together. Algodonchin got locked down completely, and he didn't have a chance to drop his Chronosphere, and without that setup, Ban Earth, they actually got initiation for the first time in like this entire game. It was Centaur to open things up, and then they chained it up with the Roar. It's not going to slow down Isurus because they are right back up onto the top lane. Even though that they don't have a Refresher Orb available for the Warlock, they're going to play this one a little bit slower, or at least they should, because they have lost their first team fight of the game, and suddenly with this type of comp, if you lose your first team fight, then losing the second and third just becomes so much easier for the enemy team to take, and well, they're going to just go for it anyway. This is incredibly bold for them. They need another 20 seconds. I think they just chill in the enemy jungle for that 20 seconds, unless they really feel like doing it. DDX is going to take a Magic Missile. Still on the front lines, though, and he is going to get healed up by the Shadow Word. Chakrams are going to be thrown every which way. And I'd actually like to see them carve the trees up on top side. Magic Missile is going to be cracked and shelled off, and they are now wheeling double ultimates. They're all going to teleport out there, and Nadara and DDX going to get hoof stomped, but now here's the team fight. Algodonchin, Chronosphere, only onto CSO. This is a very dead Centaur, and I don't even know. Oh, no, he's actually going to get swapped out. Suddenly, it's going to be a very dead Vengeful Spirit. Roar going to happen onto DDX, still looking for that Ravage. Is going to throw it out, is going to only catch Fan of Soyon, but that's going to be a dead Beastmaster. Now the Warlock Ultimate's job, number 1 and number 2, going to annihilate the Beastmaster. Now going to try to go for Glacius. With the jump forward from Algodonchin, they are going to secure this Visage, and Lycan, I don't know where he is in all of this, but he's kind of needed in his base. The Warlock Golems this time are going to survive for a little bit longer. Now they're going to, first of all, shred all these little familiars, and then go for the Raxes as well. The Familiars actually all going to go down. DDX with the Anchor Smash going to secure those. That's going to be Raxes. Isurus have cracked the base of Ban Earth, and now the team fights are going to get so much easier for them. It's still working out very well, and it's going to be just that much easier to do it next time on most likely the bottom lane once they have their ultimates back up.
Yeah. I don't know. They were able to connect with the team fight. It might have been sketchy for them, but Ban Earth Spirit were not in a position to defend. The Centaur was the only one inside the Chronosphere, and now speaking of Chronosphere, they're going to go again with the chains on the CSO as well as Alex Z. They're going to do a decent amount of damage. Although the Warlock Golems are going to time out, presumably as soon as that Chronosphere is over, he's going to be able to get a couple of bops off with them before they actually die into the base with CSO as well as the Lycanthrope. And, well, for now, they're going to be repelled. Isurus can't rotate to the other lane. The creeps aren't looking too healthy, and they don't have the middle lane pushing out crucially. So they are going to be forced back and just wait for their cooldowns. But this game got a whole lot easier for them. And now Faceless Void is going to start hitting quite a bit harder now that he's building into damage with the Maelstrom into Mjolnir, presumably. Double Diffusal is coming out from Ban Earth Spirit, one on the Vengeful Spirit almost done, and one completed on the Visage. So 2 of those golems are going to be taking out instantly. I'm not sure if it's worth the about 6,600 gold investment from both of these supports, however.
I mean, it is going to help the team in a definitive way, and what else could they have gotten? Like, 4 staves? That's probably not going to help you versus the golems that much, because you have to kill them off somehow, and I don't know how Ban Earth are going to actually do that outside of Diffusal Blades. They're going to tear Roshan a new one. This is going to be such a quick one. And now Aegis and Cheese. Who's going to grab it? Aegis on the Lycan, Cheese on the Beastmaster. Algodonchin is going to land a nice Chronosphere and then run away. Okay. They don't have their Warlock ultimate, and Idara is actually sticking around for a little bit too long. Now the Stampede, and suddenly the Warlock is like all out of position. He's like, guys, where the hell did everyone go? I just channel Upheaval and then I'll die. And Warlock unfortunately sticking around for way too long. That's going to be him down for 50 seconds without buyback. And Ban Earth with the Aegis. This is actually their chance now to get Raxes. Isurus, they probably can defend this. They need 30 seconds for a Chronosphere. They have Ravage, they have Chain Frost. But it could very well be Ban Earth just barreling their way in, especially since they do have that Cheese and Aegis.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Warlock, he wouldn't have the double ultimate if he waited that time normally, although he would have at least had one for the next team fight. Although they're not going to push that aggressively for now. The Greater Hawk is scouting everything out inside the base to get a very long-range roar off into fullback, and with a double edge and right click, that's going to be all she wrote for that Lich. Tier 3 tower down in bottom is going to fall. Chronosphere lands into pretty much everybody, but there's no follow-up for this one. He's still doing quite a number onto Phantom Swain, but has to back off, or will he? Cheese pop by Phantom Swain, and now the Faceless Void's going to get turned on. The melee barracks is falling very low. Dulce's in the middle of this. He's just not doing enough damage to warrant this, and he's going to be forced back. Melee Barracks is going to fall as the first golem is going to be dropped by the Warlock. He's going to commit both of these. I'm not even sure if he can defend the Melee Barracks. Melee Barracks is down, doing a lot of damage to Alex Z, but the damage is already done by them, and without those Warlock golems, I'm not sure if they can defend. They also lost their barracks inside mid. If they do get a Hex off an Alex Z, they're going to Anchor Smash him down, and now just right-click him to death. That's only the Aegis, however. Lycan does not have his ultimate once he comes back online. The Upheaval is going to come through, and I don't think Alex is going to be able to get out of here alive, as he's man fighting up against DDX. With Anchor Smash and isn't doing very much damage at all, especially when he's getting permabast by Algodonchin. Still 2 lanes of barracks going the way of Ban Earth Spirit. Definitely worth a death on your Lycan.
Alright, so suddenly this game just got a lot more interesting as Isurus, they take a pretty devastating loss right there. The Tidehunter was messing with the Vengeful Spirit for a good portion of that. It was like right where this Dire Observer Ward is in their own jungle. I don't know why he was over there, so there wasn't a fast Ravage. And although the Ravage wouldn't have had the most follow-up, it was still would have held out Ban Earth for just a little while longer just because they're stunned. Also, the fact that the Timbersaw didn't have any of the Chakrams out when he was, when the Chronosphere was down was severely limiting to the damage potential of Isurus. If they had both Chakrams, that would have been easy cleanup on everyone for Ban Earth, but instead, he Timber chained in, and whether it's miscommunication or what, was unable to contribute anything, and that's really the downside of Timbersaw and Faceless Void in a combination together. Now that being said, they still have Chain Frost, they have a Chronosphere, they have a Ravage, they don't have any Warlock ultimate though, so this tower push is going to, looks like, be successful. It's not going to force out a buyback from the Lycan, but they actually probably can't take a nice team fight off of this one.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a very questionable choice to use those Warlock golems once the barracks were pretty much already dead. Is scouting as a last-ditch effort to help defend them. They're not going to be able to fight very effectively for at least another 50 seconds, and probably not for 70 until they have the fresher ultimate. The Hawk is getting a lot more important. This fullback is going to be ulted by the Brewmaster. Jump in. The Tided Ravage is going to be pretty good, but it's not going to be good enough. Phantom Swain is going to mech himself up. He's still being bashed down by Algodonchin. Oh my goodness. He drops Chronosphere and then tries to focus down Phantom Swain. Phantom Swain still surviving. The heal's not going to be up for the Faceless Void, and somehow the Beastmaster survives. The Timbersaw in the middle of everything is able to Timber Chain up to the high ground, although I think he's still going to be pursued with the Lycanthrope. Without the ultimate, he will just Bloodstone suicide. 4 heroes down, 3 kills going the way of Ban Earth Spirit, and crucially, they lose nothing.
Yeah, so Ban Earth taking a huge team fight there, and Isurus, now it's the really awkward time where they have been forced to use their ultimates out of succession and, at different staggered times. And now they have no Ravage. They have a Chain Frost, but it's not the most relevant of spells to be throwing. They have one Chaotic Offering, but their 2 racks is down. These Familiars from Visage plus the Lycan split push has been just backbreaking, and already we see Alex Z in the enemy base. With the Heart, he's more than happy to tank up this tower and only has to worry about a Tidehunter. That in itself isn't scary for Lycan. It's annoying because of Anchor Smash, but that's about it. Even if Timbersaw buys back, this Lycan is most likely going to be able to withstand that because the rest of his team is coming in very quickly. And if Isurus don't buy back with their Timbersaw, it's going to be mega creeps.
Yeah, it's just a really sticky situation to be in if you're Isurus Gaming. Not much more to say. The Faceless Void isn't entirely relevant on damage when he's on his own. This Lycanthrope is getting dangerously close to being 6-slotted. They're not going to have their Beastmaster immediately for this push, although he is going to have his next completed item. I think that's a Halberd for himself up against the Faceless Void with no BKB. I think that's a solid choice. So yeah, it's, I don't know, just a really awkward situation. They're currently in check, and let's see if it's going to be made. We do have Timbersaw available with the buyback, and he's going to be forced to spend this. He doesn't TP anywhere immediately. The Tidehunter is wrapping around onto Alex Z, although Alex Z should be fine here. I'm not sure if they have any vision. They drop the double chakram onto him and now hacks him up. Alex Z is going to take a lot of damage and actually didn't see this coming at all. Dimjade going to be off the mark. Alex Z is still surviving, much help to the Visage. He's able to get the stuns off, and with the Centaur ultimate, he survives. The heart regen is going to start kicking in, and he's going to be just fine. Dulce gets up the high ground as Alex Z is there to greet him. The swap comes out. DDX looking for the Anchor Smash. Not going to find the Anchor Smash as Alex Z is still running strong BKB as well as the 650 movement speed. DDX looks like he's disconnected or something, but into the top lane they go. And my goodness, another pause as we probably see this last lane of barracks going down.
He doesn't even have Ravage. He doesn't have Sheepstick. Doesn't even have Shivas. I mean, come on, Isurus, come on. I guess NoEarth got their fair share of pauses, so we're going to wait for everyone, but it looks like NoEarth are going to snatch a victory from the jaws of defeat. I mean, take a quick look at the graphs. They were at one point 7,500 gold down, 10,000 experience down, but they are on the verge of mega creeps, and the heart is going to once again kick in for the Lycan. Fortification is there. Now the Warlock ultimate #1 is going to drop. #2 as well. This is going to be the death of the Lycan and the Vengeful Spirit at the same time. Glacius also is most likely not going to escape this, especially with a Hex. He's going to be beaten down by Golems, and that's going to be 3 down for NoEarth, but they have taken 2 sets of Raxes. Their base, Isurus' base, is in complete shambles, and if worse comes to worse, NoEarth, they have 3 buybacks on all 3 of their heroes that matter. Or all 3 of the heroes that are dead, rather. Thanasoyan's going to be backdooring the range Raxes just a little bit with those Necro units. And NoEarth, they can't actually get anything done off of this 3-hero pickoff. They're going to try to make something happen. DDX going to pick a fight with CSO. Here comes the Faceless Void. That was the best Chronosphere I've ever seen in my life. And, well, Beastmaster's going to run away. Centaur's going to run away. And the Raxes on top lane do survive. But I don't think they're going to survive for very long.
Neither do I. And crucially, they're not going to have Warlock Golems for about 2 minutes, not even one set. Yeah, so Earth Spirit, I think they have an opening there where they can just rinse and repeat and go for the push down top. Despite losing the last fight, without Warlock Golems, I don't think it's going to happen again for Isurus. They will have Ravage available, but honestly, I'm not sure that matters much.
Alright, so NoEarth, they are 13 seconds away from their Lycan respawning, has 3,000 gold, wants to save for buyback, just so he could buy back and travels in, so he will pretty much always be in those fights no matter what. And Isurus, they are still pretty much 100% reliant on their team fight. A Maelstrom on Faceless Void with Mask of Madness is a pretty good amount of damage 30 minutes into the game, but or even 20 minutes into the game, but right now it's just not enough. He needs a Daedalus or a Butterfly or anything to help him kill off these really tanky heroes from NoEarth. Otherwise, he's just not getting enough done within that Chronosphere. It's a lot of damage still with the Chakrams, with the Chain Frost, as well as the Warlock Golems, but at a certain point, Isurus need their Faceless Void to be doing more physical damage. And that's physical damage that Lycan is doing, that hell, even the Beastmaster is doing, because they're all being jacked up by the Vengeful Spirit auras. And, well, it looks like Familiars are right back at it. They snagged the range Raxes up on top. And I don't know if NoEarth can actually defend the melee Raxes from this harassment. If they let one lane of creeps get in, then the Familiars are going to tear this melee Rax down.
Yep. Let's see. Isurus, as far as what they need... Oh no, that's what I was going to talk about. The Faceless Void's item choice of the Aghanim Scepter. This is kind of the point where Aghanim Scepter starts becoming a dead item in the Faceless Void's inventory. It was kind of nice early on to have the low cooldown on the ultimate, but honestly, it didn't amount to much. I think going for just the defensive item of the BKB, or maybe just going for straight up damage, would have better served Algodonchin, especially now. In hindsight, it might not have been the best choice. We'll see. The push is going to come down through top. Bottom is being shoved wide DDX, so they're not going to have to worry about these Mega Creeps pushing in into their base while they're defending up here, but it's only one structure that Ban Earth Spirit have to destroy here to get the Mega Creeps. And if they just constantly throw bodies at it, I'm not sure there's much that Ban Earth Spirit are going to have to do other than that in order to take this game out. As long as they're not forced to use their buybacks and then die again. Looking for a jump in the Faceless Void, doesn't find it. Doesn't drop the Chronosphere, and is now caught out in a very awkward situation, especially when he's swapped. He's going to need a Magic Missile. He backtracks the damage, and there's no follow-up for it. They drop the Warlock Golems onto the Vengeful Spirit, although they're not dropping her fast enough. The Lich Ultimate is also going to drop on the bench. Bench is going to be pummeled down by the Golems, or will she? Is on the backlines. They do get a Hex onto Phantom Soin. The Vengeful Spirit's still alive by some miracle, but Phantom Soin is not going to be so lucky, I think. Looking for the Bash from the Faceless Void. They're not going to find the Bash from the Faceless Void. There's the Bash, and now they're going to be able to get him down. But Vengeful Spirit surviving up against the Golems, that's very surprising. Warlock does have his ultimate refreshed and ready to go. The CSO is caught inside a solo Chronosphere again from Algodonchin. Although CSO is pretty darn tanky, he's going to pop the Shivas, try to run. He's going to get Bash, drops a Stomp with his dying breath, but it is going to be his last as he does fall to Nidera, picking up a killing spree. However, melee barracks fell, it's Mega Creeps, and I think that's all that matters.
Yeah, Alexi wasn't a part of that fight. He and the Familiars came out from their little hiding spot, and then they very quickly took out that melee Rax, and Isurus, even if they get a full 5-man wipe, doesn't matter because everyone on Ban Earth has a buyback. The only person without a buyback is actually a Timbersaw, and he does have enough buyback, just needs the timer for it. But it's worth noting that Isurus, they can't really defend against Mega Creeps. They'll be able to not die against them because the Faceless Void has a Maelstrom, and that's pretty good clearing. But aside from that, once Ban Earth are all respawned in another 40 seconds, this game should pretty much be over. Isurus, they got caught off just one too many times. I think it was that one fight up on top lane where all the Warlock Golems died, and we were kind of wondering why that happened. After that, it was just all downhill from them, because the team fights just got worse and worse. Taking one set of Raxes is great, but the team fights can only last this well for so long before Ban Earth get just so tanky and so durable that they'll be able to trudge right through those team fight ultimates. And it's exactly where we find ourselves right now. They have found times where the team fight ultimates were down, and they've been taking objectives off of that.
It's a last-ditch effort from Isurus as they go down mid, potentially looking for a second lane of racks for themselves to get the tier 3 tower without a fuss. They do have a Chronosphere, and now they're going to jump in. The swap is actually going to bring the Faceless Void back in the AF teammate. It doesn't get enough backtracks to survive. Magic Missile goes away to Nidera to cancel upheaval channeling, and they're looking for this kill. He's going to be forced to have to wait. Will he be able to cancel that? No, Soul Assumption, double edge. Going to give a double kill. Fullback, is it going to be canceled here? It will be able to TP back to base. The buyback from the Warlock just to defend against their Lycanthrope that's currently eating away at their base. It's not enough. They can hold even, but if Ban Earth Spirit just so much as breathe on the enemy base, it's gonna fall. It's only a matter of time, I feel. That last push, despite not being completely disastrous for Isurus, wasn't a miracle, and that's what they needed.
Yeah, that was the Hail Mary push. That was pretty much their last shot at just straight pushing through the Raxes, going to go into the tier 4s and then trying to take the Ancient, because they know that they are on a timer right now, and they're going to be even more so on a timer now that they're facing up against 2 Lycans. Hell, they could barely handle 1. It's going to be an absolute nightmare with him and the Aegis and being Mega Creeps down. If they had all their Raxes, then I would still think that Isurus are not capable of taking a fight here, because they only have a Ravage right now. No Warlock ultimates just yet, so Ban Earth, this is going to be most likely the final push in the game. If they lose this, then it'll be absolutely freaking miraculous from Isurus, but I don't see that happening. The Tide has actually a Desolator. Did you see that?
He just picked it up, and honestly, this is the first time I've seen a Desolator on Tide Hunter. I have no idea if that's going to change anything. Honestly, I think a Maelstrom would have been more solid just for the wave clear, but I don't know. I don't think it matters at all. We're going to push down in bottom lane as well as in mid, simultaneously coming out from Ban Earth there, smoked up with Phantom Soin, as well as the Vengeful Spirit. Potentially looking for a swap. If they can isolate the Faceless Void and bring him down, it'll be all but over. As they're in mid, they find the swap onto the Faceless Void. Now Roar Magic Missile. Not enough backtracks to save you there. And the Vengeful Spirit, she's going to eat the first Warlock, as well as the second Warlock ultimates that are going to put a lot of damage on the Phantom Soin, but it's just not enough. The Warlock Golems are being demolished by these Diffusal Blades. They lose their Warlock as well. And I think for all intents and purposes, that's GG as we watch DDX try to man fight up against Glacius. Timbersaw is also there, but GG is called out and the Ancient's going to be destroyed. that's going to round up game number 1, but it is a best of 3 series that felt a lot longer than just one game, but there you have it.
Those pauses, man. Let's hope game number 2, possibly game number 3, don't have as many pauses, but at the end of the day, this is going to be NoEarth Spirit taking the victory 1-0 over Isurus so far. Game number 2 is going to be coming up shortly, guys, but the important thing to take away from this one is that Tidehunter with Desolator, I'm pretty sure has like a 0% win rate now, so don't do it. It's bad. We'll see you in game number 2, guys.